Hello, everyone. I am Coach Renee Lopez, and I am really excited to be with you all tonight. We're going to be talking about how to get recruited to a Christian college. What is the process? What are the NCAA rules and NAIA rules, and how does that all work? We're going to try and cover a lot of topics today, and we invite you guys to type in the chat, find that if you can, let us know where you're from and also what your graduation year is, your sport. And if you're a parent or student athlete, I know we also may have some coaches on here too. So let us know who you are. I see quite a few already joining us, and just let us know a little bit more about you. It will help us through the process. So we are going to do a lot of information tonight. So grab a pen and paper. If your parent's not with you, grab them. You want them to hear this if possible. If your student athlete's not with you, grab them as well. And you're gonna want them to hear all this information too. So there's gonna be tons and tons of things we're gonna try and cover tonight. And we're just trying to help you guys through the process. And I know it has been challenging and overwhelming for so many people, especially with COVID challenges. And as I like to refer to it, the chaos of COVID. So want to definitely start out the process tonight. And we're going to get started, give you a little bit of information about me, where I come from, and how I can help you guys tonight. So we're just going to be talking about what does it look like for Christian colleges. Go ahead and jot down that email address and my website, take a picture of it with your phone, whatever it may be. You're going to want to be able to find some of the resources that I have down the road as well. So we're just going to be talking tonight about recruiting and what does that process look like. So I want to hear who you guys are. Tell us in the chat. I see lots of different sports we have, 2021s, 22s, 23s. Awesome to see you guys here. We're glad you are here. Welcome. And let us know where you're from. So good afternoon to some of you guys on the West Coast. I am on the East Coast and actually in Florida. And we're excited to have all of you guys here. So you guys type in the chat who you are, what sports you're coming from, if you're a student athlete or a parent. Let us know, or even some coaches may be on too today. So want to be able to help you guys through the process. I do want to encourage you, if you are not in one of our Facebook groups, I know some of you do follow, I see some familiar names there. If you are not in our Facebook groups, I have 9 different Facebook groups that I run. You can see a link of all of those at the bottom of rlopezcoaching.com, but the most active one, and it has about 15,000 people that in it that I run, is called Educating Parents of High School Athletes on the College Recruiting Process. It is only for parents, it's not for student athletes. So student athletes, if you are in the room without a parent, take a picture of that, tell them to your parents to join that Facebook group as well. It's going to be a lot of information to follow up for your parents especially. So that's a great start for you guys to get to learning a little bit about the process. So some of you guys are wanting to know, well, who is this lady? And I want to introduce myself. I am Coach Renee Lopez. I do have a mess behind my name, and actually that is a master's in exercise sports science. So I am literally a mess, a certified mess. I did my master's at the University of Florida. I was a grad assistant working with their women's soccer team, as well as I was a college coach for 14 years. I was a D1 head coach, D2 head coach, and NAIA head coach. I also spent 4 years at Christian colleges, did some sports ministry trips, as well as we produced 3 All-Americans, had Coach of the Year honors, over 30 all-conference players, was part of teams that went to the Elite Eight and won regional championships. And I've literally offered out hundreds of scholarships. Now I actually help kids through the college recruiting process. I was an NCAA compliance director, as well as a varsity high school head coach and a director of coaching and athletic director as well. So I've actually worked in all different levels. And so I understand the struggles you guys are going through and having to deal with, and the overwhelming challenges that have been going on the past few months, especially. My book, I'll talk about here just a little bit, but we interviewed over 65 college coaches and athletic directors in it and across 19 different sports. And what we have done is tried to help as many kids across all different levels. We actually have sections about going into a Christian college and what does that look like. We're going to touch on a little bit tonight, as well as we talk about all different levels. So from a junior college all the way up to coaches in the SEC and the ACC, and also looking at schools you've never heard of, as well as many schools that you have, and again, across 19 different sports. Our work has been featured on ESPN Radio, as well as Sirius XM multiple times, the National Alliance for Youth Sports, the USA Weekly, as well as multiple different podcasts and webinars and other media sources. So we're here to help you guys today and try to walk through the process. I come from the process of knowing that I understand the challenges you guys are going through, and I want to walk you through the things that are just overwhelming right now. So here's what tonight's agenda is going to be. We're going to talk about what colleges are currently facing and implications for you to understand, understanding the most updated rules and what that includes with dead periods going on, especially for Division Ones, the best strategies for 2021s, 22s, and 23s to market themselves to college coaches in the midst of all of this. If you are younger ages, there'll be some great information for you, but we're primarily going to be focusing on the 21s, 22s, and 23s tonight. But there'll be some great information for you to pick up and absorb as well. And then the best ways to market yourself as a student athlete to the Christian college coaches. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Tell us a little bit, what are your struggles right now in the college recruiting process? Is it you don't know how to write an email, don't know how to get film, everything's been canceled? What does it look like for you? Tell us in the chat what have been the biggest challenges and what's the biggest things that you're looking for some information of tonight. You guys can tell us in the chat and we'll be able to try and address as many as we can in our time allotted tonight. So tell us in the chat what you see and information that's been going on. I'm going to take a look at some of those here in just a second. But I think probably the biggest thing that I keep hearing from student athletes that I work with in consulting, as well as I speak to a lot of groups across the country, is the one question: what else could possibly get postponed or changed or canceled? And so I know that that's a big struggle. I think many parents are feeling like these people right here going, oh gosh, we just want to get back to playing and getting out in our sports, or even if we are not having all the protocols we're having to do. So, but what are the implications of what does that look like for, the overall implications for the schools as well and what they're facing right now? So I want to give you a little bit of information. Keep typing in the chat some of the things you're facing of challenges. I'm going to come back to that in just a second, give you guys a few minutes. But I want you guys to hear what the schools are facing. The schools are having athletic changes of schedules as well as their school changes in terms of, obviously a lot of them have moved to online schooling, things like that. Also, some international student athletes will continue to have difficulty getting back in the country. Some of them couldn't come back this year. Some of them are trying to come back next year or next semester, as well as some of the US kids will struggle to return to a college because of finances. Maybe somebody lost a job, things like that going on, or their grades this fall and this spring were not so good. And so they may not be academically eligible. So there's also the implication of the fact that many of you have probably already heard that seniors can return for an extra year. That becomes housing implications, that becomes academic implications of what are they going to study if they were about to graduate? Are they going to do a master's program? Are they going to pick up a minor? Are they going to pick up a second major? What is that going to look like? And then what implications of what that would be in terms of, will the school be offering them some scholarship money or not for their fifth year to return? And then also, obviously they're dealing with protocols and COVID testing, staying eligible, travel restrictions, all the quarantines that are going on, many of the things that you guys are facing in your high schools as well. And then many of them just trying to keep their teams connected. If they're not able to be physically in space together, how do they keep them up to date on schedules, as well as giving them workouts to be doing on their own, keeping their team chemistry, and then also some across, multiple time zones. Maybe if their kids are doing virtual and they're trying to manage, how do they keep their team united and connected along the way? So it's important for you to know a little bit of that information going on. And then I want to give you a little bit of insight as well, that they are having major budget cuts, including Power 5 conferences. I have talked to numerous coaches and administrators in Power 5 schools, that we're talking the SEC, the ACC, Big 12, all those things. All those schools are facing budget crises, and it's a big deal. And so their recruiting travel budgets have been cut. Many of them are not being able to do a lot of things in terms of what they were allowed to do in the past. A lot of official visit budgets were cut, as well as the sports season travel budgets have changed, the reduction in the number of competitions, more regional travel, things like that. Their scholarship budgets may or may not have been cut as well. And then coaches are having a lot of pressure to fundraise right now. And that because not only was their budgets cut, but they also weren't allowed to do summer camps for the most part. And, some of them are still allowed to be doing camps, but they didn't have the opportunity to be able to bring in a lot of money for their schools. And so I think it's important for you to know a little bit what those schools are facing before you start having conversations with them. But here's the important thing: is knowing that they're dealing with these things. Families need to know a few things. Do not ever ask for an official visit. If they offer one to the kids, great. But do not have the expectation as parents that they're going to bring you an official visit. They're going to fly you in, pay for everything. The reality is a lot of those budgets have just been cut, and so they just do not exist anymore. When you email a college coach, you should always be asking, when's a good time to call them? they're swamped right now. So do not just randomly call. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just catch them in the office. Trust me, college coaches do not enjoy that. If they get a random kid that they didn't know, it kind of upsets their day. They were planning on running off to a meeting. They grabbed a phone call. They thought it was going to be quick and it wasn't. And so they don't want to be rude to you, but you need to be setting up times to talk with them. And again, within NCAA rules and NAI rules as well. So we'll talk about what those look like here in just a second. If you are going to go for a visit on your own dime, offer a couple of dates to say, Coach, will this work for you? And Division I is not allowed to have interactions with the coaches on campus. We'll talk about what that means in just a second. But also, if you're going to contact a coach, don't just say, hey, Coach, I'm going to come on this date. The reality is they may not be available. They may be really busy that day. They may have 7 other recruits coming that day. They may be really busy. So know and understand that, especially during breaks. I can tell you, like Martin Luther King Day is usually a huge time people try and go visit. And it's like, or President's Day, things like that, where you may be off of school. But the fact is the coaches may not have a lot of time for you. So you need to be offering out some different times. And then also do not have the expectation that coach will just get me into the college, even if my grades are bad. It's a really old school way of thinking. And the reality is that's just not how the process works, okay? Also, if a coach emails you back and contacts you, make sure you respond quickly and make their job easier. Give them everything they need in emails. And we'll talk about what to include in those emails here in just a second. I'm gonna stop our screen share just because I want to be able to read a little bit of some of you guys coming in, and a lot of people have been telling us whether there's a lot of people saying they don't know where to start. How do you write an email to college coaches? We're going to address that today. How do I stay motivated? What if I'm decided not to do athletic and only academic scholarships? Absolutely. Okay. Want to be able to play, but have no film? Oh, do you? Okay. We'll talk through a lot of these things tonight for sure. So I see lots of different things coming. We have all across the country. I'm just really excited to have you guys here. Looks like we have all kinds of different sports too. So I'm going to go back to that screen share. I just want to be able to give you guys a lot of information tonight. So just so you know a little bit what the schools are coming from, we want to be able to give you guys a little perspective and things. Now, here's the biggest question that I always get. How do I get so-and-so an opportunity to get seen now that blank has been canceled? So whether that's you as a student athlete, how do I get seen? Or maybe it's you're a parent, you're trying to get your student athlete seen. The key is marketing yourself. The reality is, do not sit back and just think, like many of you guys have seen the movie The Blind Side. I love that movie. How many of you guys have seen that? Tell us in the chat if you've seen that. It's a great movie, right? Fantastic movie. I love it. However, it is not realistic that you're just going to sit on your couch and college coaches will just come knocking on your door because you're a talented athlete. You need to market yourself. And so, you know, you look at that movie and it was great. It was a great movie, but the reality is it's just not how it's going to work for 99% of student athletes. So the key is you marketing yourself and making sure that even in the midst of all these chaos of things being canceled and changed and all that, we have to make sure that we are marketing ourselves to be able to be seen by college coaches, okay? So I always tell people, control the controllables. The idea is you can control your actions, your opinions, and your own attitude, your efforts, and your behavior going forward. You can't control everybody else's, and you can't control what else is going to happen. So the reality is focus on the things you can control, and that's communicating with college coaches and releasing information out to them as soon as possible and being creative when it comes to videos as well. So let's talk about what that can mean. I'm going to give you information that's first in a normal world without COVID of what you can do doing, okay? If you want a copy of what you see on the screen, you can actually download it completely for free from my website. It is rlopezcoaching.com. I think Andy's going to put that into the chat for us. rlopezcoaching.com. You can download this. This is what college coaches can do back with you. This is what college coaches are allowed to do for Division I in a normal time. I'm going to get to COVID rules here just a second. But this is only for Division I. Okay, you as a student athlete can always email them. You can always email them. They're just restricted on what they can say depending on your graduation year and the sport. You can download this again for free from my website, rlopezcoaching.com. This is what the normal year is for Division I, okay? And if you had maybe older siblings or somebody else that had gone through the process prior to May 2019, a year and a half ago, the reality is their rules may have been a little bit different. A lot of things have changed about the past year and a half. In addition, there's another wave of things that have also changed because of COVID. So let's talk about what that is. Right now, because of COVID, there is an NCAA Division I only is currently in a dead period until April 2021. I apologize, that is wrong. I'm going to fix that real quick. I want to fix that because I do not want anyone to have that. I'm sorry, I thought I had fixed that. My apologies. Let me just save that real quick. I thought I had fixed that. Let me go back and we'll screen share right there. And I'm sorry. All right, so it is a dead period until April 15th of 2021. This does not mean you can't email them or talk with them if you're allowed by your normal sport and graduation year. Instead, the thing is, this just means that they cannot have on-campus visits with you. You can still go do a normal student visit if you just go through admissions, if the campus is allowing that. They cannot do camps and they cannot travel to evaluate at an event, okay? They cannot travel to evaluate at a showcase event. They can, however, watch tournaments online, but do not always expect that they're going to be just because that it's being virtually broadcast. You want to always be taking film yourself whenever you have events, for sure. So again, this is a dead period. This is only for NCAA Division I schools. They can talk with you if it's normally allowed from the previous screen that we had in terms of your graduation year and your sport, and that varies across the sports. So we want to make sure you understand that you can always email them. They just may be restricted in terms of what they can do back with you. Now, if you are recruitable age in terms of graduation year based on the last screen you saw, then you can actually be doing Zoom with them, you can text with them, you can call with them. The reality is you can still be interacting with them, and many kids are doing that. And that's how many kids have already been committed along the way, even though schools have been shut down in terms of doing visits on campus with the college coaches and athletic staff. Again, you are allowed to do admission staff interactions and do campus tours and things like that. You just can't interact with the coaches or the athletic staff or student athletes when you're actually on campus, okay? So very, very important for that. That's all Division I, what we talked about. Now here's Division II and Division III, which again, this information you can find on my website, rlopezcoaching.com. Basic information. These are basic rules for Division II and Division III. Again, if you had student athletes, maybe an older sibling that went through the process, it may have changed since 2019 of last May, a year and a half ago. But these are the basic rules for Division II and Division III. Again, you can download it off my website if you're interested in what those rules are. Now, when it comes to NAI schools and junior colleges, they do not have many rules in terms of restrictions of what they can do of interacting, so you can actually be reaching out to them. So today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what should be included in emails and what you should be doing in marketing yourself and how to make that in the best way. So first and foremost, make sure you get a copy of your transcripts on PDF. You're going to want to have those current grades posted on the transcript, and they can be unofficial transcripts. You can just ask you may be able to even screenshot. A lot of you guys can log into your systems and you can see your grades. They're going to want not just your current semester grades, but they're going to also want your previous semester grades. So you're going to attach that when you send emails to a college coach. You're going to also want to make sure that you're looking and finding out what admissions and coaches are looking for in potential recruits. Now, if you are a time-based sport, let's just say swimming or track or cross country, you can often look on their websites and you can actually see the times they're expecting for their recruits to be able to even look at them. Now, a little bit different when it comes to sports that maybe, active type of sports where it's, in terms of a team involvement, that they need to see how you move off of somebody else and things like that. Volleyball or soccer, or football or basketball or lacrosse and rugby. I could go on for a long time here. But the reality is they may have a little bit different what their needs are for what they're looking for in athletes. And it's really important, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I just want to reinforce this. Do not expect a coach will just get you in if you do not meet their admission requirements. The reality is there's a lot of kids competing for the same spots. You need to make sure that you are focused on school, make sure your grades are good, and that you're not blowing off school. The reality is you need to make sure that your grades are going to be something that a college coach is going to be interested in, not make it be a red flag or a yellow flag for them. You want it to be something that's very good and that you're going to be able to help them with their team GPAs and be able to be successful in college. Now, obviously, different schools are going to have different requirements, and so you need to start looking about what those are. I always encourage you guys to make sure you're researching these things early on, whether you're 2023 or 2024, or maybe you're 2021 and looking through the process. Now, also important, do not sign up for a recruiting service to send emails for you. College coaches hate them in general. They hate them. They do not want that. They want to get personalized emails directly from student athletes. Instead, understand the process really about marketing yourself and doing it for free. I have over 40 blogs on my website. I'm going to tell you about some other things you can do along the way. You do not need to spend money on a recruiting service. There's absolutely no need for it. If you do the right things and I've had hundreds of kids get committed to, probably pushing thousands of kids get committed just by doing all the things that I teach them. Again, I was an NCAA compliance director as well as being a college coach for 14 years. The reality is, if you do the right things, college coaches are going to be interested in you if you've got the talent that they're looking for. So we need to make sure of that. What you guys can also be doing is make sure that you are registering for the Eligibility Center. If you are looking at Division 1 or Division 2 for the NCAA or the NAI, there are two separate eligibility centers, okay? You're going to want to register for those, and you're going to send the Eligibility Center ID numbers to the coach when you email them. Now, when you register for the NCAA, initially register for the free version, which is, it'll say Division 3 or undecided. Register there first, get your ID number, and use that right away. The college coaches can see it no matter what. If you give them that ID number, they can see where you're at. And then if you start getting really serious conversations with Division 1, Division 2, then you want to make sure that you're going to have to spend the money to get your eligibility center officially, your documents being evaluated across the board. Otherwise, Division 3 will actually be evaluated in terms of academics at the college specifically. But you will do the amateurism information. They'll be asking a lot of questions about amateurism. So make sure you do that. Also going to need to have your high school transcripts sent to the eligibility centers. And so that's going to be something you need to talk with your school counselor about. Then if you have test scores as well, you're going to, right now they've waived it for the 2021s for eligibility. You do not need to have test scores for NCAA eligibility or NAI eligibility for 2021 class. However, 2022s, I would expect, and anyone younger, you will need to have an ACT or an SAT. And so very, very important that you have those. Also make sure that you are going to Eligibility Center and looking up your high school core courses. Do not expect, because you're on track for high school graduation, that you are automatically going to be eligible to play at the next level. There are certain requirements of core courses, and your school counselor should have access to this information, but so can you. You can actually go on the NCAA Eligibility Center website, click on your high school, and be able to see what core courses and make sure that they line up in order for you to be eligible to play Division 1 or Division 2. And then also the NAI does have requirements as well, and you can have information there. So if you are going to send your test scores out to the Eligibility Center, these codes are going to be really helpful for you when you're registering. You're going to want to register for the NCAA. You're going to put 9999 in your test codes when you register for the ACT or the SAT, as well as the NAI 9876. Just so they're going to ask you some codes, which schools you want to send it to. You can put these two things in there, and it'll get automatically sent from your testing agency off to the NCAA Eligibility Center or the NAI Eligibility Center. But you have to have these codes. So make sure you take a picture of this right here. And then you can see that really long link that's at the bottom right there. That is the link to the core courses. That's why I just say type in NCAA core courses. Make sure it pops up when you do it on Google. Okay, you can actually see it from the NCAA.org Student Athletes Future as well. That website you see there, you can link to it. But the fact is, you want to make sure you're on the NCAA website and looking at the core courses. So it's going to be really, really important for you to have that information being sent off to the Eligibility Center. And then you're going to include that ID number so the college coaches can see that. You're going to include that in your emails to college coaches. Now, you want to be making a list, and I refer to it as the broken leg test. If you could no longer play at that school, is it still a school you'd want to be at? And you want to create an initial list of 20 to 30 colleges. Now, some of you guys may think that's really high, but the fact is some coaches are not going to be interested in you. They may not need you in terms of your position. They may be looking at only graduating out 2 or 3 kids, especially with this opportunity for seniors to return. The reality is you're going to find a lot of times that you are going to hear some no's, and it's going to be disappointing. And that's why we want to make sure that we are casting a very broad net in contacting coaches. And then you want to be making sure that you kind of create an Excel spreadsheet. So you kind of track where you're at, who you've communicated with, what virtual tours have you had? Are they having future camp dates? What are the coaches' email address and information, things like that. So we'll talk about those. I see some questions popping up in the chat. We'll come to those at the very end. So what we're going to have though is you want to create an Excel spreadsheet. You want to start with 20 to 30 colleges, and that's where you're going to start with contacting college coaches, see who's interested in you, and ideally you're going to be sending them some video. Okay. But the key is you want to be contacting colleges at every level, not just D1. I tell everyone 5 to 8 Division 1, 5 to 8 Division 2, Division 3s, 5 to 8 NAIs, 5 to 8 junior colleges, and looking at those, okay, when you're doing the recruiting process. Okay, so what else could you be doing right now? If you have video links, you want to send them to them, okay, when you send those emails off. If you don't, here's what you're going to do. find a way to be creative. Get your high school coaches, your club coaches, your travel team coaches, or maybe it's a group of 3 or 4 friends, depending what your area is allowing right now, and put together some 3v3 or whatever it may be of you in training, okay? And even if it's nothing of an actual game footage, you can try and put some technical skills together, show yourself doing agility, show yourself lifting weights, show them a little bit of something of you as an athlete. Now, the other 2 things I would encourage you to do is reach out to any of your teammates, see if any of your parents have on your team have recorded you guys playing before. Also, Google and look as well, even on YouTube, and see if anybody from opposing teams have posted video of you. You'd be surprised how many people have found video of themselves because somebody else posted video of a game that they played at an opponent. So see if that's a possibility. If not, create something, even if they're 30-second videos of you doing some technical skills of your sport, okay? But also just get creative, figure out ways to do it. I've heard of somebody who just, had some people just get like 2 or 3 friends together and they each shot videos for themselves. And so it just all kind of rotated who was doing the skills and whatever it may be. So just be creative and try and figure out some ways. Do not use the excuse you do not have film or you're not playing not to reach out to a college coach, because that's going to hurt you, okay? The other also important when you send emails is label the jersey, color, your number and position, especially if it's a sport like, you look at a sport like soccer or football or basketball, so they know who you are in the process, especially if it's running game film versus highlight film. Again, most of the time you're going to want to send highlight film initially, and then if they ask for a little more, then you can give them offer up a full game and such. Include your email and graduation year on the initial screens at the beginning and also at the end of that email when you're, at that video. And then ideally you want to be 3 to 5 minutes, not more than 8 to 10. They will shut it off for the most part. And so I would start with just short videos. And if you can, get some highlights put together. Always send in a YouTube link. Never send it as an attachment to an email. It clogs coaches' email box and they have to delete the email in order to even use their email. So definitely want to make sure of that. Now, the other part is really important is that you need to scroll through social media the past 6 months. Does it show these things, these characteristics after interviewing 65 college coaches and athletic directors across 19 different sports and across all different levels, junior colleges, all the way up to major universities like the University of Alabama athletic director, the University of Florida athletic director, the rifle coach at NC State, a gymnastics coach in Nebraska. And the reality is all of them started telling me these very common themes of what they were looking for in student athletes. And does your social media demonstrate that? Does it show that you're just always about trying to get better as well as respecting your team and showing integrity? Are you developing every single day? Are you making sacrifices every day? Does your social media demonstrate those things? Does it show you're coachable and you're resilient? You're learning more things. You're trying to get better every day. And are your willingness to get back to the community? If you've been doing a service project during this COVID time, awesome. Post on your social media. And I highly recommend, especially in sports like football as well as baseball, but in some other sports a little bit too. But Twitter is very active and very important in the recruiting process. For many other sports, Instagram is an easy way to do that. And I highly recommend you use social media. Here's why. It's not just about you posting videos about yourself. It's the reality is college coaches are trying to figure out your character. And so somebody will always ask me, well, what if we don't want to have a public social media? That's fine. Make it private, but offer that information. Here's my my logins, or excuse me, not logins, my screen names of Instagram and Twitter. So they get to know who you are and they can see who you are in terms of your character. So highly recommend you use social media. College coaches are using it to determine who you are as a person, not just as an athlete. So really, really important to think about that. So like I said, you're going to want to put that social media together as well as those videos together. And then thinking about that broken leg test, you're going to email. Ideally, you want to start this during your freshman and sophomore years. You want to be looking at 20 to 30 colleges. And we'll talk about the Christian colleges here in just a second. But look at those schools in terms of the academic rigor, the choices of major. Make sure they have the couple of majors you may want to study if you don't know yet. Social aspects of what you want to be. Maybe you want to be in a Christian college, maybe you don't. The reality is, looking and seeing and really understanding about the location, what the weather is like. If you're an outdoor sport, it's a lot different. I can tell you, I've coached in Colorado and I've coached in Florida during preseason in August, 2 totally different things. The size of the school, as well as, is it located in a city? Is it located in the heart of downtown city of like, the Chicago or LA or New York, or is it in a smaller city, or is it, I've been at one school where it was 17 miles to a Walmart. So the reality is you need to really manage what does it look like in terms of the atmosphere of the school. And again, put that into your Excel spreadsheet, as well as look at what other extracurricular activities they have, and also internships and career experiences. These are the things that you should be doing and discovering as you go through virtual tours, and also hopefully while you go and visit some campuses as well. But start thinking about what those look like, and be able to have a situation where you are contacting schools, but you know something about them, because you want to send personalized emails saying, Coach, I'm really interested in your school because of where it's located, because of your major, because of the career experiences that it can have, as well as that it's in a big city or a small city, whatever it may be for you. I think it's really important that you personalize those emails and sending to college coaches. That's what college coaches want. Again, 65 college coaches and athletic directors across all different sports. That's what they're looking for, is personalized emails talking about why they're interested in the school, not just about their sports program. Now, many of you guys are going to say, well, what else, Coach? What should I include in this? Well, the fact is, I have something on my website you can go to for free as well. And rlopezcoaching.com, in my store, you'll find tons of things. One of those things is strategies to emailing a college coach completely for free. And what you need to do is just be able to download that information, and you'll be able to get a special report coming in. Again, rlopezcoaching.com. You can see tons of resources in there. And then also, you want to make sure that you're completing their online recruiting questionnaires. If the recruiting rules allow for it, try to get on a call with those coaches as well. Okay. Some of you guys are going to also wonder, well, what else should I put in a player profile if you're going to attach a player resume to it? Again, you can download that into our from our website as well. It's 51 items to include in a player profile. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the differences of levels and what the national Christian colleges include. The NCAA is separate from the National Christian Colleges Association, okay? So let's distinguish what that could be. A NCAA school can also be an NCCAA, National Christian Colleges, okay? Typically, an NCCAA school is a Division II for NCAA, a Division III for NCAA, or an NAI. However, there are some schools that do not have affiliation with the NAI or the NCAA. So they may just be the National Christian Colleges. And we're going to have, Andy's going to put in the chat a little bit of a link to finding out more information about the National Christian Colleges, okay? The competition levels can vary. The reality is you can find that you're going to find high, middle, and low. It really depends on the funding of the program and how good of a recruiter those college coaches are, okay? Typically, you're going to find smaller conservative schools, some, not all, offer athletic scholarships. Really important to you realize Division III schools would not be able to offer athletic scholarships. Some NCCAA programs do not offer scholarships for athletics, and they just offer for academics. For some sports, you can do tryouts. So that may be another avenue for you to see. Now, again, there are a lot of restrictions because of COVID right now, but Division II schools, you could actually be in a situation where you could do a tryout with a school if they're allowed to with their campus rules right now. But typically most kids are on athletic and academic scholarships, but they may have more opportunities for roster spots. And so they're going to typically look for test scores as well as your core courses and your GPA. It's very similar time commitments to Division II, Division III, and NAIs, because many of them are Division IIs, Division IIIs, or NAI schools. So it's important for you to know about the National Christian Colleges. You can search by region as well as search by sports on the NCCAA website, and I believe Andy would have put that into the chat there for us. So really important for you to think about. If you are marketing to a Christian college coach, I'm going to give you a couple extra tips. Again, you can be downloading that strategy to emailing a college coach, but these are a couple extra things that you need to include when you send an email to a college coach that's at a Christian college. I spent 4 years at Christian colleges in terms of coaching, and I can tell you, you want your email to stand out because coaches get a lot of emails. Here are some things that you're going to want to do, and we're going to cover some of this in my book. I'm going to skim over this today, but if you want to pick up a copy of my book, I'll tell you how to do that here in just a minute. But the reality is we cover a lot of this in my book, much more in depth. So, but the fact is they want to know your desire to grow in your faith life. If that's what you're choosing to go into a Christian college, you want to tell them that your commitment to lifestyle choices at the school. Check their websites. It varies across Christian colleges. They are not the same. You will find different things. Different schools are going to have different expectations. Also, very, very important that you as a student athlete show that you have active participation, not just a family, but you as a student athlete, okay, are involved in your local church. And you're not trying to just live off your parents. Oh, my parents go to church, so therefore, oh, I'm part of this. But the reality is you want to make sure that you're showing anything you're involved in as well. Maybe you're on the worship team, maybe you involved in retreats or other faith-based organizations, like you see some of those there, or youth groups. Put that in your email to college coaches. So not only just what you see in that special report you're going to download, but this is really, really important for you to do. And again, we cover this more in depth in our book as well. So the other part is that they want to know student athletes serving in the local community. If you're involved in different things, maybe you're leading a Bible study, you're helping with VBS, maybe Habitat for Humanity or other Big Brothers Big Sisters, helping in a soup kitchen, whatever it may be for you. Tell them about that. Also, if you have any experience in serving on domestic or international mission trips, and also make sure you list and include not just soccer coaches or basketball coaches or teachers, but references who also known you for at least 2 years, that they've known you beyond the classroom. And they could actually speak about your character and your spiritual walk, not just your parents' involvement in church. But the reality is bigger picture of understanding what it will look like for what we need to do to help families, okay, to move forward in this process of recruiting. So here's a couple important tips when you're doing research. Right after this session today, you're gonna be able to get on the virtual fair and see and speak with representatives and things like that of different Christian colleges all across the country, which is awesome. And I want you to do a couple of things to research. You want to be asking some of these questions. Now, don't ask all of these in your first initial email to a college coach, but just those things you want to be researching along the way. What percentage of students in the school are committed Christians? Not all Christian colleges have only committed Christians at them. And then also, what's the percentage on their teams are committed Christians? Sometimes you'll see that some schools will have an 80-20 percentage that they'll have in their school. Some will say 50-50. Some will say it's 100% committed Christians. So also it's understanding what are the campus and athletic department expectations that impact daily life and campus culture. I would highly recommend attending a chapel if you can on campus. Find out what the chapel requirements are. Many of them have virtual chapels going on right now too. So think about what that looks like, or even go back a year or two and just go see what they've done in the past for virtual or for regular chapels. Ask what local churches the student athletes and coaches attend. Investigate how the coaches are fed spiritually. That's important because those coaches can't pour out if their cups are empty. So make sure you ask about what they're doing as well and how the coaches are being encouraged and growing in their faith. Ask the current student athletes and coaches about the vision for sports ministry inside the team. And then my next point is that what's their vision outside of their team? And then ask the coaches about their vision for serving in the local community and what about doing international sports ministry trips. Those may be put on hold for a little bit of time, but really important for you to really think through that. So really important for you to kind of take all these steps as you start to do this process. Know the updated situations for test dates. Make sure that you are planning it out. You need to be taking your ACTs, SATs if you're a 2022 or younger for sure. For some schools, 2021s will still need tests. Again, that varies on the school. But plan on doing campus visits unofficially, if possible, for everything but D1 right now. If you can, I would hopefully then maybe you can try to go later in spring or this summer to be able to do that. So now, also, I would highly encourage you guys pick up a copy of Looking for a Full Ride. It's going to walk you through the entire process. I know there's some people on this call that probably already actually picked up a copy of this. Today only, if you order, if you go to lookingforafullride.com, free shipping coupon code. If you put in Christian, it is all lowercase when you put in Christian. Make sure you put that in. You'll get free shipping. It will be going out tomorrow. I hope it gets to you guys before Christmas, but I can't put guarantees because it is the post office. So we will try to get it in the mail to you guys tomorrow morning, and it will go out as soon as possible. But it is a great Christmas gift for you, for coaches as well, for school counselors as well, as we walk through the entire process again. Only today, up through tonight, is free shipping coupon code. So Christian is that coupon code, all lowercase, and you can order at lookingforafullride.com. So we have information on that, as well as I know some of you guys may be interested in doing some individual consulting with me. I'm currently taking 2021s and 2022s in terms of consulting. My demand has been quite high because of COVID. If you are interested, we do have some of that. You can find on our store. I do ask that you have at least a 3.0 GPA and you are only a 2021 or a 2022. We'll have opportunities for 23s and 24s down the road. But just over the next few weeks, we'll be very busy with 2021s and 2022s. What it includes is a 75-minute consulting session with me. I'll also look over your emails you're sending to college coaches. I'll do a little bit of review of your social media, as well as we'll give you some information of what leadership traits college coaches are looking for. We'll give you that 51 items for your athlete resume, what to include, as well as you'll get 2 copies of Looking for a Full Ride with free shipping. Here is why I give you 2. One is for the parents and student athletes. The other one is for your coaches who are going to be involved with you. So whether it's your high school coaches or a club travel team coach, whatever it may be, maybe it's an athletic director, we want that to also be people around you also know what the process looks like, especially if they don't have prior experience with working with student athletes going through the process. And then today only, we are doing a bonus. We are sending out a mental game coach, Tammy Matheny. She's a phenomenal mental game coach. She has a book, a couple different books, and if you order this session tonight and you do a consulting session, and you purchase this tonight, you'll get a bonus book on the mental training coach. So really, really important. You can purchase that through my store, again, for only 2021s and 2022s, again, with a 3.0 GPA at least. And I'm only able to offer this out to 4 people tonight. So first 4 people to register will be the ones that we can get to, and we'll do our sessions in the next few weeks. Maybe you have time over Christmas break. If not, we'll do it in January, but I think many of you guys will have some downtime during Christmas break, and so we'll be able to get that process going. And I will work with you. I'll walk you through the process as well. So we will get all of those things information. Again, you can find that at rlopezcoaching.com/store. So this is, again, only for 4 people is what I can add in just because of my time and what I have. So the first 4 people that register with that will be able to have some time with me. We do have over 40 free blogs as well on our website, rlopezcoaching.com. And it's talking about how to make more videos, how do you do campus visits, what are some questions you can ask a college coach, and just a lot of different things in terms of what you should put on social media as well. So again, I encourage you guys to make sure you parents are joining our Educating Parents of High School Athletes on the College Recruiting Process Facebook group. Highly recommend that. We have over 15,000 people. We have a team of experts that work in there as well, multiple former college coaches, as well as test prep experts, as well as Tammy Matheny, our mental game coach, as well as a dietitian, as well as somebody who does ACL prevention. We try and give everything we can to help high school student athletes with the process in recruiting, as well as how do you get non-athletic scholarships, how do you get the community-based scholarship. We have a team of experts in there, and I'm in there every single day, and I'm interacting with you guys, and I'll help you guys through the process as well. So that's for parents only. That is not for student athletes. We do ask that you have just parents or coaches. You're welcome, or school counselors, to be joining that. All right, so what can you be doing right now? The key is, I would highly recommend you pick up a copy of this. This free shipping code is Christian for lookingforafullride.com. And it's going to walk you through the entire process. Like today I said, I just skimmed over a little bit of what Christian colleges are looking for and what you should be doing, what you should be looking for as well. And we want to be able to answer any questions as well. So I'm going to give you, again, my email address is info@lookingforafullride.com. That's my website as well. And I will put that into the chat. And I know we're going to have some questions. So I'm going to stop our speaker. Let's go to our speaker view and try and see what other things I can tackle of information here. So go ahead and put a question into the chat. If I can help you guys, I will answer it. As a freshman, would I send my grades now? That's a great question. Yes, you want to send yours probably after this fall semester, or if you have first quarter grades, then you can send those. Even if it's just a screenshot from just logging in, you have your first quarter. Otherwise, maybe you get your information after your semester ends, after this first semester. So maybe that's December, maybe that's January for you, for sure. So that's a great question. Go ahead and put some other questions in the chat. I'll answer questions for a few minutes here. Let's see, I know. All right, I know a lot of people say, yep, I know I don't want to go to a huge amount of debt. The reality is you need to be looking and researching a couple of things. There are a couple of things when it comes to making sure that you can look on the website and see most colleges have something. It's called the NPC, the Net Price Calculator. Andy, if you could type that in the chat, that'd be great. Net Price Calculator. What that does is you want to make sure that you can kind of see what the typical package looks like with your grades and maybe your test scores. And then there's also something that's called an early estimator that you can actually request to get a feed in terms of what's your typical FAFSA money that could come back and what that looks like in terms of extra aid, things like that. FAFSA money is the government money that could be there, grants in terms, and also other things in terms of loans.
they could show you what that could look like. And it's called an early estimator. It is not official. The fact is they're just giving you some estimates, and same thing with the net price calculator. Those are things for you to start in the process. And again, try to see what your academic scholarship may qualify for and what that would be in terms of finding athletic scholarship money if that's available. So I think it's really important that you go through the process. Always remember that there are going to be some schools that you just simply cannot afford. I also cannot afford a Lamborghini, and that's just the nature of it. So I have my trusty Toyota. But the fact is, you may not be able to find that fit for you at this school, but you may be able to find a different fit. And that's the key, is you want to make sure you find a fit academically, as well as socially, as well as in terms of the location, understanding the weather, understanding the city, whatever it may be, or a town, whatever it may be, as well as athletically. We do not want to just focus on the athletic side of it. Make sure you're looking at the bigger balance and looking at that broken leg test, because you don't want to come out with tons and tons of loans. But the fact is, you may have to take some loans in order to graduate from the school you want to. So it's important to weigh out all that is, what that is for your family, and the information too. So I think it's really important for things to be you to be evaluating that in the process, but don't let the sticker price scare you away. Find out information and look at their net price calculator as well as their early estimator, and try to figure out what those schools can offer and what they typically would offer to someone with kind of your test scores and your grades, stuff like that too. So, all right. Somebody just asked me, the coupon code is Christian and is looking for a fullride.com. You can pick up a copy of that. Let's see. Do you know what to major in? That's okay. I think a lot of kids don't. I highly recommend you see if your school, your high school, has any career testing. A lot of times they have it in your school counselors, as well as see if your school has a program called Naviance. It will help you kind of look for some schools in your area, give you some criteria, things like that, and they'll be able to help you out. It's called Naviance. Okay. All right. When do I contact coaches? If I am a sophomore, you can start right now. Again, download that information from my website of what the coaches can do in return, but you should definitely be reaching out to those coaches, get those films out into them. So don't have a video, but we'll have one within a few months. I would not wait months. If it was 2 weeks, I'd say okay, but I would not wait that long. You would definitely want to start that process for 2023. I would get some, create some video. You can create it. Go out and play 3v3, or go out and just do some training, do some technical skills. It can be a 45-second, just of them doing some technical skills with the ball, or agility, things like that, or they're shooting if they're a forward, those types of things. Create a little bit of a short video, and then you can send them follow-up videos. Your initial video does not have to be the end all. So even if it's 45 seconds, I would definitely start that process going. And you want to get on a coach's radar as soon as possible. Even if they cannot respond to you, again, you have to download the information based on your rules of your sport, as well as the graduation year, as well as the different levels. But the fact is, you can be able to reach out to these schools and they can get you on their radar, and they have a database they're running with, okay? And the databases have tons of information, and they just keep gathering more information about you, whether you're going to be at another showcase, or you're going to be at this tournament thing, or maybe it's a virtual thing, they're going to watch you, or that you're sending them videos as well. You want to make sure that you're be able to get yourself out there as much as possible, and that you're not just one time and sending an email to college coaches. You're going to send them grade updates. You can always send them training updates, as well as some game film when you have it. So definitely. All right, if there's any other questions coming in, I see a couple. If you don't have social media, I highly recommend you at least get an Instagram, because they're looking to see what your character is. Again, you can make it private. I think it's important. I think it's important for you to have that, because they're looking to see your character. It's not even about the actual recruiting side of it, of athletics and how well do you perform as an athlete. They're really looking to know who your character is. So I highly recommend you have at least Instagram, if nothing else. You can keep it on private if you want to. Just give them what your profile is. So, all right. If I play 3 sports, how do I know which one to commit to? I would, and play at the same level or all. I would go in and go with your best and what you think sport is you are going to be able to commit and grow and develop as an athlete. I think that's important for you to really start out that process. At some schools, they will allow you to play 2 sports, but always start with your initial sport that you really, really want to play. Start with those emails to those college coaches. After you get through that process and start interacting with those coaches, then say to the coach, would you mind if I also talk with the other sport coach to possibly play that sport as well? The reality is, from a college coach's perspective, many of them do not see a benefit in you risking injury and a lot of time away from their sport So it doesn't necessarily go over very well. So I would concentrate on one sport you're going to contact coaches in first. And then as you start getting that point time, just say a college coach that you're talking with, then say, Coach, would you mind if I also spoke about this in playing two sports in college? Is that even possible at your school? For some academic programs, it's not even possible. For some colleges, it's just not possible in terms of athletics, and it depends on how it overlaps. Okay, so it's a great question. Best advice, you're from a small town. Jacob, I appreciate that question. Just saying, you need to be reaching out, get film for sure. As soon as possible, you have to get film. You need to get film and create it. And you need to be researching and contacting college coaches. Do not sit back. The reality is I actually worked with a high school team that was in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, middle of nowhere, like 2 hours before closest to any airport. And I worked with them for about 6 weeks of a sessions. And we just did weekly sessions talking with all of their high school kids and who wanted to go and play in college. We got 9 kids committed. They were not going to these major showcases. They were not, out in this major city. The reality is they were doing all the things that I'm telling you to do, and they got committed, and all different levels. So it wasn't just all junior college. Some went to Division II, some went to NAIs, things like that. The reality is they found schools and they found fit. So don't let a small town be the reason you stop. If anything, make it just push you. Maybe you're gonna reach out to a couple more schools than 20. Maybe you're going towards that 30 number. But again, look at junior colleges, NAI schools, Division IIIs, Division IIs, and Division I's. Don't just limit it to Division I's. A lot of kids end up just getting into that naturally. They only chase Division I, and that becomes a problem. So, Victoria, it would be on a case-by-case basis. You can email me. Right now, I'm currently only taking 2021s and 2022s. So, in terms of that criteria. So want to be able to help you guys out in the future, but you can just shoot me an email, info@lookingforafullride.com, and we can talk about that, what that looks like. So any other questions? We're going to take maybe one more. Let's see. And I know Coach Andy is still on here too. Coach Andy, is there any other questions I missed in the chat along the way? You see there. I'm scrolling. There's any other questions you guys?
From what I've seen, you've been keeping up, so I haven't seen anything sneak through that you haven't also seen, Coach.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Well, if not, I can have time for maybe one more question. If you guys have one more you want to put in the chat, we are here to help you guys. Again, if not, go ahead and make sure you take down my website as well as my email address, and we'll be able to help you guys. Great question, Abby asked if we should send weighted GPI or not. I think you can send both, whatever your school typically, most of the time it shows on the transcript, but I would send both. If you're choosing between one or the other, send the unweighted and then tell the school, and they will also look at it from a weighted standpoint. The schools know how to communicate that. So, all right, that's a great question. All right, last question. Caitlin has, using YouTube, do you keep the videos private or public? I would actually keep them private, and you're gonna send those video links out to the college coaches. So it won't be an issue to have to worry about that. There are some pretty bad stories of some not so good people doing bad things, trying to chase people's recruiting videos. So I think it's really important that you are reaching out to schools, sending those videos. And again, you're sending out to 20 to 30 schools, 5 to 8 at every level. And especially if you're sending an email to a Christian college, make sure you include some of the things we talked about a little bit. I skimmed over today, but definitely pick up a copy of Looking for a Full Ride. We go into way more in depth about that process, and we want to be able to help you guys. So, all right, Coach Andy, is there anything else I need to wrap up, or I'll hand it over to you?
I think you've covered it all. I want to say thank you to all of our attendees tonight, especially thank you to Coach for a whole host of information, links to your website, to the book, free shipping code. So generous of you to offer that. One last thing that I want to make known to the attendees. So in addition to this webinar tonight, there's also, now it's already happening, a live virtual Christian college fair. So a lot of schools that you might actually have athletic interest in they'll have representatives available live. I just put the link in the chat box, so you can go to that. You do have to register to attend. But one of the cool facets that we've included in the college fair is every college booth there's a spot on there called a secure file transfer. So if you have your highlight video ready to go, you can actually submit that straight through that college booth, so they will receive it directly from you right now. So it's a secure file transfer, and you can set that up. But Coach, again, thank you so much. We'll have a recording of this available on the same website where you've registered for either the webinar or the college fairs. So if you want to check back and watch again, highly recommend checking out more Coach's stuff. And thank you all for being with us tonight.
Thank you guys. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.